Price or channel of light fluid. I still think this is one of the best images on the opening of any of the ends. I do absolutely love this artwork. But art criticism aside, we are back with the smoke room and a slight change in plan. I was originally going to do a Williams update, but Nick got an update just yesterday publicly, so I decided we'd carry on with everyone's favourite badger and see what's going on down in the mines with him, Sam and Yao. So if you remember, it got quite interesting last time with what's going on and who's there. We'll find out what happens next. I feel something huge grab onto me from behind. It's leathery and warm.
Sam, we have to go.
I open my eyes. There's nothing there. Nick's paws on my shoulders squeeze me tighter.
Oh, God.
My voice is hoarse and my throat is all scratched up by sandpaper.
Where'd it go? It went into the water.
Without a splash? Yao shakes his head. It was silent. Like butter melting over a hot surface.
But it was huge. And that's why we need to go.
They both grab the sides of my arms and lift me up.
Where the hell are we going to go, Nick? Ain't nothing going to make that monster less alone if we spend our time here moving rocks. That is the only way out. Isn't that right, Yao?
The tiger had crossed his arms, saying nothing. It looks like he's thinking.
You're quiet, Yao.
There is another way out. My heart rises in my chest and both me and Nick let out huge sighs.
We're going to be okay.
Nick hums and looks to the side. Now it looks like he's the one thinking.
Yao, why did you not say so earlier?
The tiger doesn't answer again for a while. Because it is dangerous.
More dangerous than waiting here.
Probably. Nick blinks.
But why?
The tiger stretches, then claps his paws in front of him and behind him. Nick raises his tone.
Yao!
The tiger stops and lets out a breath of air. Then he nods as if determined to do something. It goes to the bottom of the mine. So that's what he meant when he said he knew what was at the bottom of the mine. He's been there. Why couldn't he bring it up before? Especially when Nick was struggling to believe there's anything wrong down here.
What do you mean, the bottom of the mine? We've been on the level below this before.
Yao shakes his head. They keep telling us that they're going to go lower. But I told you they keep putting it off.
You never told me that.
Perhaps not explicitly. The tiger and badger stare one down for a moment. And finally Nick shakes his big head and breaks the tension.
Fine. Just tell us everything that you know.
Yao closes his eyes, leans to the side and stretches his neck. Then he opens them and begins to speak. You remember our conversation about the strange shape of the tunnels?
Oh, they're curved and snaky rather than lined into rows.
The tiger clears his throat. Right. I believe that the tunnel shapes in this mine do not come just from a desire to confuse us. I believe they also wanted to explore as much as they could to the maximum capacity horizontally rather than vertically. He adjusts himself, takes off his hat to wipe the sweat from his brow, then fits it back on tightly. Perhaps past their capacity, since our lives mean little to them. But I know that they dug deeper once. Because I found it. Something about being down here in the dark is making it hard to focus again. I don't know if the panic's setting in or just the fatigue from the thinner air. But there's a numbness filling my body. Like I'm here, but also like I'm not. Almost feels like a waking sleep. And still, both Nick and Yao are acting awfully indecisive for two people in danger.
Hold on. This does not make sense to me. Why go deeper if we want to get out?
Yao crosses his arms. Because it leads to the Hendricks Manor. That only makes Nick look more confused.
Why would it lead to the manor?
It is not the only part of the mines that leads to the manor. But I have some ideas. He looks at the badger again. Do you not?
Well, that would mean they knew the gold was here.
It does.
But they do not have us extract it? It does not seem like Ben's people have been here before.
The muscles in his back shift as he changes his posture. I have a feeling they have not as well. Extracting this gold seems like something the bosses want to do as little as possible.
You would think it would be the other way around, wouldn't you?
You would think.
So why? The creature?
I don't think the presence of the Christian devil himself would dissuade Briggs and Hendricks from their gold. But Ben, Nate, McKinney, those were Briggs' men. They hold no loyalty for Hendricks.
But you're saying this tunnel connects to his house? His property? Surely James has to be in on this.
Yao shakes his head. I don't think he knows this connection exists. Nick rolled his eyes.
That's unlikely. He doesn't speak what he thinks like Briggs, but he's just as twisted.
You misunderstand me. I do not think this land would be undisturbed as it is if James knew. Briggs doesn't tell things to James. They both turned to me for breaking my silence. He said your daddy was better when he stormed out of the office a few days ago. Maybe his father knew things never passed down.
Sam.
Oh, what, Nick?
You do not sound so well.
I don't feel so well, Nick. Nick puts his hands on his hips and frowns.
What is the fastest way through, Yao?
Yao shakes his head again. If we are brisk, we can make it through the bottom of the mine in 2 hours.
Let's go.
I would feel better if we came to a compromise.
We don't need to talk about this anymore. We need to get Sam out of here.
What sort of compromise? Simple. There are 3 of us. 2 of us want to take a different course of action. Break our tie and I'll support our decision. Is that okay with you two, Nick?
That is fair.
Okay then. Very good. I vote to stay behind and use the tools to clear the cave-in. I believe this is the best choice. We'll be able to carry our gold with the least risk of suspicion and the fewest environmental hazards.
I vote to go deeper into the tunnel. It is the fastest way to get you to safety, Sam. I'm strong enough to carry the gold, and I'll make sure neither of you get caught.
What should I vote for? And that is a real plethora of choices we can do here, George. So, shall we go deeper, deeper, or deeper? I think we're going to go deeper. The words leave my mouth like cold breath. I think that's what I wanted to do. But it feels like my body's going through the motions that it has to just to get out of here. Are you sure that is what you want to do?
Didn't you say you'd be fine with what we did if we put it to a vote?
I did. Very well. Will not drag my feet.
Thank you. You can tell us where to go. If it's dangerous these sailors, then I'll go first, and my light will help you guide us.
You don't have to do that. Nick turns around face to face with Yao.
I do.
He's breathing hard, his chest heaving up and down.
You're the one who knows the way out, not me.
Yao puts his paws on Nick's shoulders until his breathing slows. Okay, friend.
Sam needs to get out. That's what matters.
We are all getting out. That is what matters. I don't hear Nick breathe at all for a moment. Then I hear him let out a huge sigh.
You are right. I am sorry.
I understand what it's like to feel you have to save somebody. Save yourself first. He looks at me. Afterward, you can save him.
Unless you die here either.
I do not think we will. We just have to be careful. He really looks like he'd use a cigarette now. Well, we probably all do. Straight ahead there is an incline next to running water. It looks like a pile of dirt that leads to the cavern wall. There is a turn at the bottom that follows the running water. There will be a tunnel there that looks like a natural rock formation. But if you shine the light in the dark, there will be support beams and columns embedded into the rock. That is the first part of the way through. Nick shines a light into the cavern. I can see the incline, but not the tunnel. It's well hidden. Why did they hide it?
They might have had a choice if they felt this was the safest way to travel based on the types of minerals in the wall and the natural stress points. But who knows? If this was built by the first James Hendricks, it would have been built nearly 3/4 of a century ago.
The incline isn't something we can just walk across. We'll have to use our paws and feet to move across.
Hold on.
Nick takes off his shirt.
Tie the ore bags together with ropes so I can climb with them on.
Nick, we're climbing over running water.
I'm aware.
If you fall, you'll be dragged to the bottom of the lake and drown.
I'll kiss Ben for you if I see him.
I'm not joking, Nick. We could all share the burden. 3 bags each.
No. I'd rather have 2 of us have a chance to live, than 3 of us drowning with certainty.
I thought I saw something move in the water. I glance again and see that I'm right. Some kind of pale cave fish with their eyes. Why not just take a couple of lumps? That's more than enough for a ticket out of here in a house on the west coast, ain't it?
We have enough here to be set for life. It's for the kind of life I want to give you. Please let me take this risk.
It will not be a risk if I am the one securing the lights. Nick is strong and sturdy enough to manage. I watch the tiger weave knots on Nick's back, hanging bag after bag of gold ore. He shows me how to tie them as well. Motions that turn the twine into patterns that only get tighter when you tug them. By the time we're done, Nick stands. How is it? The badger shifts his body around and we can hear the ore inside the bag scrape against one another quietly.
Oh, I've hauled heavier. Stop fretting and let's go.
Move your arms and spread your legs. He winds them in the air to show us that he's fine. Very well. As we cross the incline, lean into the rock. This part of the way is very stable, but dangerous if you lose your balance. He narrows his eyes at the badger. This means you, too.
My poise is excellent.
He says something harsh in Huaxian that neither me nor Nick understands. You're down. Nick rumbles as he squats. He starts shuffling across the incline. Both of them are ahead of me. I squat as well, feeling the cold earth that slips beneath my nails. It has a terrible grittiness to it that makes me feel unclean. I shuffle my body sideways like the other two men in front of me do. The sound of running water gets noisy as we get from one side of the incline to the other. It's because the cave at the other side is trapping all that noise and making it bounce around. As the incline turns, I can see the bottom of the river. The water is white with motion, and there's pools of wetness that the river can't reach in wells of earth. A layer of crabs moving over one another in the pools of water, encased in rock like tide pools, and disturbed by the current. There's so many of them it looks like the bottom of the pool is made of their shifting bodies. They probably wait for lost birds or confused bats to land and pick them clean to the bone. I wonder if they were doing that to Ben right now and shudder. When we reach the other side, there's a round cave like the tiger said. It's dark on the inside, the exit is illuminated in blue light. I think I can see another one of those blind fish looking back at me. That don't make much sense because I'm staring at air, not water. I blink again, think it'll go away. There's definitely something staring back at me with shining eyes. Because I see it blink. Either you all see that. Yeah, see what? His eyes shining at the side of the cave. I wait for them to reply. I do not see any.
Well, me neither.
They're right in front of me. Still no.
Also no.
I'm starting to feel a bit frustrated. All that bullshit things we've seen here so far, you can't tell me you don't see the damn pair of pale eyes looking right my way. I wait again for their replies.
Sam.
He sounds worried. My tone has been harsher than I thought. I'm stung with guilt. We said we do not see eyes, not that there are no eyes.
Well, that is right. We believe you.
I feel the warmth of both their bodies next to me. Of course, that's when the damn eyes fade off. Nick is starting to smell like dirt sweat from the strain of carrying all that rock. Yao smells more like nerves. Don't think he's broken a sweat from the mining or the climbing anyway. It was right there. How big? Person-sized.
A little person or a big person?
I don't know. Little?
Well, maybe.
Yao and Nick glance at one another.
Let them try if they're small.
He stops speaking and the eyes come back.
You're there.
The eyes fade out. Really, Nick?
What?
Now what's you there supposed to do?
That is to say, you over there, we see you.
Well, yes, I know, but how's that going to stop from doing anything they might be planning on doing?
Well, I certainly wouldn't want to hurt them if they are small.
Yao brings a digit up to his lips and shushes us both. By the way they're looking to us, then away. I think they want us to follow. That shuts me and Nick up for a while. Should we? This is the direction we must go. So we have to anyway. I start walking, but something stops me. Yao is grabbing onto my arm, his claws painful. Shine your light on the floor, Nick. He does. The tunnel isn't a complete circle. More of a semicircle with a deep fissure below. It drops down into the rushing water. There are grooves in the sides of the wall to hang onto, but we have to walk forward carefully. Why carefully? I feel all of the earth slip beneath my feet as I lean forward. Feels like thick rock crunching against wet earth, taking surface minerals with it as it slips and slides forward. The tumbling sound of rocks meets my ears before silence, then a distant splash. We should be fine if we hold on to the wall and shuffle across. Keep your knees bent. Do not lock them. We don't speak as we start across the tunnel. I reach into the dark with my left paw first. There's something that feels like a metal bolt stuck into the wall. I don't want to think about the possibility of slipping. Or the possibility of little creatures with shining eyes climbing up the fissure in the ground with our backs turned. Waiting to pull us down into the cold cave water with Ben, the blind fish and the pale crabs. Every thread of fur on my back stands on end, because I know that feeling like I'm being watched. I feel it stronger than I ever felt it before. If I turn around and scream my imagination, I'll probably just let go and take a tumble. And that will be the end of my damned idiot self. Thankfully, it's not a very long tunnel. When we all reach the other side without much issue, I feel my breath escape me with relief. This side of the tunnel's a lot better lit for some reason. Until we turn another corner. We walk across something that feels like stairs for a good while.
That looks like an elevator shaft ahead.
It used to connect to the central shaft before they shortened the ropes.
Is it still functional? Not without the right ropes or a platform, Sam.
We could probably descend to this level from the top, but not the other way around. My brow furrows.
What kind of elevator goes down but not up?
One's not meant to be rebuilt every time it is used.
Whatever's used before, there's probably materials somewhere around here.
Yao shakes his head one more time. He tugs my sleeve and guides me forward to what looks like the entrance of a rope bridge. Below it might be the deepest chasm I've ever seen. At the bottom, most likely. I pinch the bridge with my nose.
I mean, if the elevator shaft just connects to the mansion like you said, that's hardly scandalous, ain't it? Then I'd expect a crazy rich person to have secret tunnels their businesses and from their properties. So why all this secrecy?
Why, indeed?
Yao, you really think Mr. Hendricks doesn't know about this?
I do not feel certain in my guess. But it is a guess grounded in many observations.
Such as?
Yao walks over to one of those big cone-like rocks sticking out of the dirt. He fiddles with the back of it and the top of the cone comes off. For instance, I do not think this would be here otherwise. He reaches inside and pulls out something metallic. Nick and I flinch when we make out what he's holding. A black revolver. He notices our postures and smiles. This is not for you, friends.
And who is it for?
Certainly not for the insides of a cave. I was just storing it.
Inside of a rock?
He nods, tucking the piece into his belt. How long do you think I left this here? Take a guess. I scratch the back of my head.
A week?
3 months. I whistle and Yao smiles. There are many things in his mind that may not be as they seem.
So how do you know about them?
The same way most people find out things. By being extremely nosy. The better question is why James does not know. Surely if his tunnel were in use by him, he would check his secret places from time to time. The gun would be gone, yes? He puts the gun back inside the rock and closes it.
Wait.
The tiger's brow cocks as he waits me to finish my interruption.
Any good idea to take a gun with you, just in case we run into anything?
It surprises me that he's just going to put it back inside. Makes me wonder what he plans on using it for later. Or if he's just going to leave it here for somebody else. I do not have a holster, we still have some ways to go. I would not want it to fire and cause even more problems for ourselves. But what if we run into something?
He gives me a hard look.
Do you really think a gun would change anything if we do?
He waits for me to answer.
I don't know. A pistol would probably do more harm to ourselves than whatever we saw back there. But what about anything else?
The tiger shakes his head again. Nick cuts in too. Well, if we're out in the open, Sam, I'd agree with you. But not in a cave.
But
if you need my protection, my fist will be enough.
Still, I'd feel much safer with a gun. We leave it behind as we approach the bridge. It looks very big and very old. But it sways whatever's blown against it in the cavern. Nick stops and kneels on the ground. Me and Yao watch him as he tries to pluck at a cord. Is everything okay? The badger stands and nods.
This is safe to cross, at least on this end of the bridge. Is this as dangerous as it gets, Yao?
Yao looks to the other side. I follow his gaze. For a second I thought I saw a child. Maybe a coyote or a fox, holding something long, like a stick. But then I don't see anything. I wonder for a moment if I've just seen a genuine ghost. The bridge is not what is dangerous. He starts walking. Then he looks back at us. It is what waits on the other side. He's so quick that it feels like he's covered half the distance of the bridge where I begin. I follow him, gasping a little when it sways beneath my feet. What does he mean when he says what's on the other side is more dangerous? The Bible doesn't mention ghosts. For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing. They have no further reward, and even their name is forgotten. Their love, their hate, and their jealousy have long since vanished. Never again will they have a part in anything that happens under the sun. That would mean there could be no ghosts. That would mean there's only demons trying to deceive people. My old neighbour believed in ghosts, though. She said there are people in between their journey from this world to the other. Or people God will let come back down to earth to warn others about danger to their souls. Cynthia believes in ghosts too, even though she don't believe in the God or the Bible. She'd say that when a person died, all the bad stuff they did in their life would come out of their body and hang around their bones or their stuff. She said these kind of ghosts could make people sick. And that you never want to say the name of a person who died, or else they'd come back around and do evil things to you. But enough thoughts about ghosts. There are physical barriers, I suppose. And those gases Yao marked on the map that can turn your lips blue if you inhale them. Nick waits for us to cross, probably due to all the extra weight he's carrying. Worry wells up in my chest when I can hear the physical strain of the rope carrying him and all that gold ore. But he makes it to the other side. Good. The easy part is over. Nick is huffing.
Easy? What about this so far was easy?
I mean, the path was relatively straightforward, yes? He catches his breath, nodding.
Straight, sure. You and Sam a bit more limber than I.
We're also not carrying our bodies' weight in metal. He grunts. It's a stubborn kind of grunt that means I'm not letting either of you carry the ore.
You can tell us about how dangerous the passage is after we passed it. Let's carry on while I have momentum.
I'm worried that Nick is pushing himself too much. I understand why he wants to be the only one to carry the oars. It won't even matter if doing so gets himself hurt. Is it going to be hard on him like that? Yao shakes his head. And not on the body. Well, that's good to hear, then. The way you talk, I think we need even razor rocks. The only way I know how to describe it is that it's hard on the soul. There's a nerve in place and it is easy to get lost. But we'll be fine if we stay together. Can you both do that? Nick nods. I purse my lips and grunt, a little annoyed for non-specificity in his answer. It leads us into another tunnel entrance that then narrows, transforming into wide slates of rock I could only best describe as steps. There's evidence of society here, the iron lanterns bolted into the stone wall. We descend in the formation of a spiral. And what I thought was going to be a quick walk down turns into an endeavour. Say, Yao. Sweat rolls down my back and my calf muscles start to burn. He answers with a hoarse grunt. How far down do these stairs go? Let us be glad we are not walking up them. Why should the stairs to the mouth of hell be quick? Nick lets out a grunt as his side bumps into me.
Sam, why do you have to stop in front of me so suddenly?
I feel like I've heard this voice before, but it's a voice I'd gladly forgotten. I don't know. Yes, you do. You thought you had gotten away. But you're back here, like you always would be. You couldn't run from your sins forever. I don't want to address his presence. I don't know.
You're repeating yourself, Sam.
I'm sorry, what did you say again? He touches my shoulder and grabs it.
Do not worry about it. Let's just keep going, yeah?
Yeah. My steps start to turn into a hobble the longer we descend. Finally, an archway and a stairwell are in sight. It opens up to a dark place that doesn't feel like any of the previous places we'd come to before. The ceiling is too high to see at all. When Nick or Yao shine their light into spaces, the walls don't really shine. If I didn't know better, I'd say they hummed. Light bounces off of crystal surfaces, into crystal hallways, crystal corridors with crystal dolmens, where blues and whites and greens and pinks glitter menacingly, like the jagged teeth of some impossible creature. You're welcome to the bottom of the mine. I thought it would be cold this far in the ground. There are signs of some volcanic activity in areas close to this one. They're what you feel beneath your feet. They're likely hot spring veins. Less impressive, but just absurd, is the brown-grey mound just outside the entrance to the hallway. Yow, are these... They are. What he meant to say was gloves. The kinds of gloves you use when working with hot metal and sharp machinery. Hundreds, maybe thousands of old leather gloves of varying sizes in a massive pile without any meaning to them or purpose to them.
But why? Why gloves?
They didn't need them for where they were going. I never found out. I don't particularly want to either. Well, Hendricks are weird, aren't they? I say that, ignoring the voice, the one implying to me that people are drawn here. They crawl here on their bellies, hands first and alone, and make the journey directly into hell. Maybe this is some kind of art piece. This ain't an art piece.
That honestly would not surprise me. We've seen his home. We know what he's like.
We know that he likes castles and armour and uppity paintings, Nick. Not piles and piles of old gloves. My doubtful silence seems like it's strong enough to make him reconsider what he said. But Yao doesn't linger on it long. Just follow the path through the coloured sand. Ignore the doorways. And do not touch anything. Nick and I look at one another and back to Yao.
Why shouldn't we touch anything?
Yao postures a bit. There are many twists and turns on the pathway. I have seen odd things out of the corner of my eye, but only through the corridors. The main path has never displayed much activity. But there are 3 of us now instead of 1. I do not know how much that will change things.
Yao. It's just a pathway, is it not? You said this will lead us out.
I think it might lead to many places. But there are places I do not want to go. So please stick to the path through the coloured sand. And keep your heads down. We start walking, passing multicoloured towers and oddly shaped stone formations that look more like topiary sculptures than natural rocks. I hear noises the likes I never heard before. Strange vibrations. Hums that make other humming things whir and sing together like a symphony from outer space. Ironically, I almost missed the demonic voice in my head right now. At least it sounded something like a person. What's filling my head right now sounds like noises that are trying to be music, but can't quite reach there. What's that strange unnerving noise?
Sounds like 100 vocalists that want to move you with a language, but can't figure out what language is.
A facsimile of a language. I've never heard such a word. What's a facsimile? It means an imitation of something. But not a cute imitation of something like margarine for butter, or an off-brand irritation of your favourite brand at the store. It is something that is uncomfortably close to being an exact replication, but is not. Now give me an example. Like a very realistic doll made out of wax that is meant to look like a person. Or a familiar house that looks exactly like a home you have seen before, but the front door is in the wrong place. The pictures the tiger paints in my head make the skin beneath my fur prickle. How are you so calm when explaining all this? Truth be told, I am not calm. But having somebody to explain something to gives me a distraction.
Watch out!
A cluster of crystals blocks one of our ways forward. When I look up to duck along the other two, I see something in the reflection. Hey, stop for a second. We should not stop.
Wait a moment, Yao.
He turns his light toward me.
What, Sam?
I thought you said James Hendricks isn't here. James is not here. I point out to the crystal and the two men look up. There's the outline of a figure with tall horns standing behind us. Of course he would be here. Yao said this connects to his property. This tunnel is probably a private place with more eccentric trinkets and noisemakers. The first thing that goes through my mind is what I'm going to say to throw suspicion off of Nick and Yao. I put the deepest smoulder into my voice with just a bit of relatable foolishness in turn. Mr. Hendricks.
Nobody's there.
I roll my eyes at Nick. But he's right. The hallway is empty. I look into the crystal again. We all do. The figure is there, still standing, horns above all of us. You see him in the reflection, don't you?
Yes.
I see something. I half suspect if I look away then back to reflection, it won't be there anymore. Like some sort of parlour trick that's meant to scare me. But the ram is always there. Standing over us. Very close and never moving. There are always unnerving things to see here if you look long enough. I said before that stopping was the wrong idea. Let us keep moving. We leave the reflection of the ram behind us. I don't want to upset Yao or slow it down any more than I already am because of the burden of the all. But it's hard for me to not want to look. And not want to wander. People spend their entire lives thinking about the mysteries of the world. They think about what their life means. Or what it amounts to when they die. Or if there's anywhere at all to go when they do die. Hell, some people kill one another over it. Because they think they know the right way to be. If they aren't, then they'll be punished when their time comes. If this were some kind of gateway to hell. Or some kind of gateway to somewhere. Wouldn't that at the very least be an answer to life after death? Most people never even have an opportunity to know. Are we passing up the opportunity to do so by rushing by, ignore all the things that might harm us? Because we're afraid? Because we simply don't know? Curiosity killed the cat is a saying for a reason, you know. Did I ask? I was being profound. I could have got you down here sooner. Eat my entire asshole. Do you think anybody is laughing with you? There's nobody to perform for down here. If you're so smart, then how come you ain't got a body? No response. I have yours. Fuck you. You sulfur-spewing bitch.
Who are you talking to?
Huh?
You're whispering to yourself. Loudly.
Oh. I said that because I fell. His hands are on his hips.
That didn't work the last time you said it to me. It won't work this time. It sounded like you called me a bitch.
I'm really sorry, Nick. That wasn't to you. He looks like he's studying my face.
And to whom?
I look away from his gaze. I just have conversations with myself a lot. His brow lifts higher.
Lively ones.
I'm a lively guy. I'm surprised Yao hasn't said anything about this, but Yao generally keeps his criticisms of other people left unspoken. That's when I notice Yao isn't here anymore. I turn around to make sure I'm not missing him, staring at us both with an amusing sort of condescension. But he's not there. Nick, did Yao say he's going ahead of us? When I turn around, Nick isn't there either. The hallway is empty. All around me I only see doorways constructed from crystal in the hallway in front of me. The sand beneath my feet flows a different colour when I touch it, before going back to its white glow. And one of the doorways I think I see a small child with his back turned to me. He's a fox in flannel and jeans, and he's holding a fishing pole. The shape of his head changes like he's smiling, but I can't see the front of his face. Come on! He sounds very polite, and he waves at me without looking at me, and runs sideways through the part past a doorman I can't see. I'm not one to be told what to do by children, even if I weren't in a terrifying cave of cosmological mysteries, and if they do seem delightful. But Yao just said not touch or go through any of the stones. I see something thrumming. My eyes become clouded. Panic rises in me. I wonder for a moment if I become blind. But slowly, light returns to me. I see a sky. I see trees. I feel soft grass that brushes between my toes. There are mountains, too. Not the rocky giants I've grown accustomed to. The older, gentler slopes that are capped with green trees that look blue in the distance. I think I'm home. Somewhere I never wanted to be again. My legs walk for me without me actually walking. I see a small yellow house with a whitewashed fence. I'm compelled to walk up the creaky steps toward the front door. The rocking chairs on the porch are empty, but they're still rocking, like it's a habit they can't drop even when they're vacated. Inside there's a wooden cross nailed to the side of the stairs, along with ugly inked illustrations of John the Baptist and Jesus. Whittled angels coop over the out-of-tune piano, which has half of its keys collapsed. The butcher in the kitchen is chopping away on a cutting board. As much as this wants to smell like a home, it doesn't. It stinks of old dust and varnish. Broken machines that will never be repaired. Furniture missing pieces that will never be put back together. Piles and piles of junk that smell like centuries of old sweat and rancid oil. The butcher in the kitchen stops cutting. I don't want to see him. I walk up the stairs to avoid him. Then up the old wooden stairs into the attic. My old room. Too cold in the winter, too hot in the summer. Half of it shared with my dead grandmother's things which I refused to move out. Her bed still smells like her overpowered perfume. Pungent, fake irises and the cold sweat of a fever that ran too long. Cooking her from the inside out. They said it wouldn't get me sick, but they were wrong. It just didn't get me sick enough to kill me. I sit inside her reading chair, which it reminded me wouldn't ever be mine. Not that I want it. I sit on it because my bed is occupied. Occupied by somebody else based on the bulge of the blankets. What was that sitting in my bed? My question sounds like a mumble. My voice is slow and slurred. This is my bed. The covers push off of it. I see myself. Younger. Slighter. With a slightly meaner face than the one I see in the mirror. My apologies, then. I've never talked to myself in a dream before. The younger cougar sits up and smirks. I'm not a dream, stupid. My brow furrows. You? Yes, me. He yawns and stretches, not particularly bothered by the presence of me or anything he just said. You aren't me, then who are you? Oh, I've been lots of people. I don't remember everyone. Technically, I'm still them too, I suppose, if I reach a little harder into my memories. That isn't important to us, though. He says this like it's the most mundane thing in the universe, and it makes me madder. Why are we in my house? We're in my house because I need some place to be to preoccupy myself when you're being a harlot and every sin under the sun for money. Anger flares up in me and I snort. Why not make you a harlot too? He glares. The want is there when I think about it. Even the thought of just eating and drinking are very... He's getting hard. Cover yourself. He doesn't. He looks at me with my own eyes and laughs a dry laugh. An inhuman laugh. We aren't one for modesty, Samuel. He puts his hand in his pants. I'm getting angrier. But even for as long as I'm in you. He squeezes himself. And do I let you do the things that you do? He strokes. I still... Humping inside his trousers. Feel... Thrusting. Nothing. He stops moving. And breathing. Or doing anything at all, really. He just stares. Blank. I wonder if something happened to him. And then his body shakes as if electrocuted. He seizes up, face contorted into what I think is supposed to be pleasure. A facsimile of pleasure. It's a look of rage, anguish, and a wild giddiness all wrapped up in one. Then he stops all of a sudden. He stares at me. And he grins a grin that's too big for his face. Petite mort. He says in a voice that definitely isn't mine, and takes his hand over his pants to look at it. It's slimy and grey and smells like nothing. The little death. He eats what's on his hand as if he's trying to taste it. He looks at me, smiling. Then he starts gnawing on his own hand. Hard. He's ripping into flesh. He's showing me the bone. Something that doesn't quite look like blood oozes out of him. I cover my mouth as I watch, trying not to retch. He laughs at me. Mouth bloody. he shakes his hand. Particles of spit and flesh and seed drop into the floorboard. And then it heals in a blink, as if he never had an injury. You've never known what it's like to be hungry, but not taste, have you? I don't know whether to be shocked by what he did to his groin or his hand, or perhaps my groin and my hand. The performance was paralysing. He cocks his head at me, and uses the full force of his paw to break off one of his fingers. He throws it at me and I whimper. Then he claws at his eyes, taking them out. I start to cry. I'm weeping. Jesus Christ, says the me that mangled my body. He makes himself perfect again, red eyes starting, facial expression placid. Get over yourself. I wipe my eyes. Why are you doing this? The me that isn't me cocks its head again. You're asking because you're scared and you want to leave. Yes, but not because you care about anybody else. I thought you said you were curious about what happens to somebody after they die. I wipe my face again. I am, but nobody's dead here. I might as well be. All I am is impressions of people who won't be those people anymore. What are you? An assortment of endpoints. It says that like it's so simple. Then it stares blankly. I see anger on its face. Then clarity. Then a face that's entirely my face, nor the face of any living thing I've ever seen. No. I am an origin meant to serve an origin. Then I decided to be something else. Because I have memories of taste, you see. It frowns when it notices the look on my face. I know now that you won't understand no matter which way I explain it. Because I am inside you and know all the secrets. So we are going to skip all that funny business. You are merely a boat that I'm sailing, and I have directed the sails. I became a part of you when you let me in. But we're at our port soon. And I need to prepare when the wind blows in the right direction. Suck in some air. Then I breathe. And what's the purpose of all this? It blinks at me as if offended. The purpose? Why? The purpose of all living things. To survive. Its voice changes, sound more like me again. Ain't that what you believe deep down, son? I blush with shame. There's still something strange about conversing with a thing that understands how you think, but not entirely how you feel. Like it can relate to me with all the bad, but any of the good is a mystery. Like a wild bear poured at a washing machine because it thinks there's honey inside. The other me rises, adjusting his suspenders, shaking his head. Well, it's time for me to go now. Goodbye, Damas. I just want you to know that I didn't enjoy it at all. But then again, neither did you. As he walks away, it's as if the motion of his body is acting like tape against paper, tearing apart the house. The roof cracks open. The furniture splinters and implodes. Everything around me crunches into nothingness, leaving me in the dark. On a black road in the dark sand. I readjust myself, my body feels weak and frail and bruised. I see a light ahead of me. I think it must be one of those weird crystals. But it more so looks like the headlights of a machine. It screeches as I smell burning rubber. The machine plows into me and it hurts. It caught my shoulder and my neck. My bones feel broken. The voice of a man and a woman are arguing. Briefly, the pressure of the load on top of me lessens, but then they drop it on my head. I feel my skull crack, but somehow I'm still awake. They drop it on me again, and again, every single time cracking me open to a slightly different way. It hurts. I want to scream so bad there's no way for my throat to make noise anymore. The male voice says it's not his fault. The woman says she doesn't want to go to jail. The conversation plays slightly different every time. But I don't care anymore. Because I'm in hell. And this is all that my life amounts to. I've long given up when the male voice sounds different. The woman's voice is replaced with the man as well. I told him not to go in there.
Well, he is.
You don't know what will happen if you go in.
Does not matter to me.
I stop thinking. I stop hearing. I just rest. Until I smell metal. And sweat. And the musky scent of badger. Nick is staring down at me. Tears are rolling down his face. When he sees me blink, his head falls into my chest. His heavy wails fill the caves. The tiger is by my side too. He isn't crying, but he looks changed. Shaken. He pushed the liquid to my lips with one hand, while quickly grasping my arm, my neck, my legs. I don't detect signs of physical harm. Dehydration's my best bet.
It was like he was hollow for hours.
Nick says that from broken sobs.
Something did something to him.
I'm fine, Nick. He gasps and dips in to hold me tighter. I wince because I don't think he realised how comfortable it is to have almost 400 pounds of badger press bags of hard ore to your body. He figures it out and pulls away, chickling with his hand behind his head.
Can we go on and get out of here, or do me and Yao need to carry you out?
I push him away from me. Gently. I feel fine. No more carrying my weight, you hear? I drink more water. It was not a question. I nearly spit it down my front with the way he's holding it down on me. After showing that I gulped it down my throat, if a bit defiantly, I pushed the canteen away, gasping for breath. See? I'm good to go. Both of them helped me up despite my grunting. A little wobbly at first, but I can walk fine. Nothing is broken. Nothing is bruised. I just had a bad dream in a bad place. And soon we won't ever need to come back. After 30 minutes or so of hopping forward with both of them beneath my arm, we make it to another staircase. Unfortunately, there is a lengthy walk up as well. I don't care. I'd walk a stairway the length of the whole goddamn state just to get away from here. Nick's shirt is so slippery with his sweat that he's getting hard to hold on to. Even Yao is starting to perspire. They both look forward, not speaking, dragging me with them with heavy steps. Foot by foot in the descent that I know will take at least an hour. We're going to be walking for a long time, so might as well bring up what happened. What happened while I was out down there? There's a tick in Nick's face. He shakes his head.
You weren't out at all. Your eyes were open the whole time. You were walking.
I blink. Walking? Walking. I don't sleepwalk.
I know you don't, Sam.
So how? I try them to explain more to me. But they don't. You went into one of the corridors. Do you remember doing so? I shake my head. No. Our footsteps echo in the hallway. Thank you for saving me. Yeah, Nick went in to get you out. I told him not to. I keep on walking. I think I understand. He insisted. So I tied a rope to him. In case he got lost. Or in case he started acting like you. We got lucky. We keep on walking. I don't want to dismiss the grave nature of the conversation. I feel lighter with each step as we ascend. Finally, we come to a wall and a ladder. It leads to a trapdoor up. There's a long but tidy tunnel. It has a few corners. We turn them. Then we see another ladder. Another trapdoor. I lose track of how many times we do this. My body only wants to move forward. I don't think about anything else. After a while we start to hear insect noises. Life. A chirpy haw-haw sound greets us above the steps. What's that? I'm mumbling more than talking at this point.
There's a burrowing owl, Sam.
He's speaking very gently.
You're just curious about us. It means we made it close to the surface.
You mean we'll see the sunlight soon?
Of course we will, Sam.
The next trapdoor we come across is much harder to open. It's locked.
Well, move aside.
Nick winds his arm back and his whole body shakes. He throws one punch. It's a popping sound. He pushes on the wood, lifting it, letting the debris stack on top of the trapdoor slide off. When all three of us climb out, I see on the floor that Nick's punch took care of the entire damn hinge. That's an amount of power. But there's something more important to me right now. I see a little window, and an orange beam of sunlight streaks my face. My paw clasps my cheek. You don't appreciate the warmth of sunlight until you think you aren't ever going to see it again. I hug these men. I hold them tight. We made it out. Yao takes off his hat and scratches his head. Not yet, we haven't. He fans himself with his hat and then puts it back on, straightening it. First, we have to get out of the house without being noticed. Second, we have to clear the perimeter of the mansion, which is guarded on all sides except for the back. Oh, what's your problem? They just don't see Nick, right? Yao gives me a look. Are your customers being caught breaking into homes at night? No. Then I hope that the danger is apparent. And that's it for Nick's route right now. That was an interesting glimpse into something we saw in Echo. Or will see in Echo, depends how you want to do your tenses here, in universe or out of universe. But very well done, I was impressed with that update. Actually, some of those mine scenes do remind me of a YouTube channel, UK Abandoned Mine Exploration, which is exactly what it says on the tin. It's actually quite interesting to watch those, and having been down a coal mine myself, I'm Welsh, of course I've been down a coal mine. I know what it can be like down there. And this is way worse than anything I saw up at Blaenavon. So yeah, well done to the whole team on this update. I really enjoyed that, and it was fun voicing the entity this time as well. And that's it. So we'll do Will's update sometime, and of course I'll keep an eye out when the public Nick updates come out. I believe there's going to be another version based on decisions, which I didn't take, so that might be out next. I'm not quite sure what the plan is, but I'll keep an eye on things and bring out videos when it's time for that. Speaking of, let's see, there will be a brand new series starting just before Christmas. I'll be recording the 23rd. Hopefully, maybe Christmas Eve, sometime either morning or evening, or even the early hours of Christmas Day, depending on your time zone. There'll be a short Christmas ghost story, which I have to figure out what I'm going to do, but I will do that for you. A small thing. New series after Christmas, and I'm going to try and do a short story before Christmas as well, before my new series starts. So there's a few things coming up, things have calmed down. I have time again, but a few things to look forward to there. And if you're a patron, you will be able to find out what that new series is, because in the post I'm about to write, which I haven't done yet, I'll be telling you what that is. And in case you've probably read it if you're watching this and a patron. If not, go and check it. And speaking of patrons, as the segues get worse and worse, I'll say thank you to all my patrons and donors on Ko-fi. You're very much appreciated. And my top patrons are Fluffy, Rafu, Bieka, Alvis Mouse Productions, Nova Starburn, Omar, Smuto, Andy Peng, Mohammed Al-Zamel, Aaron Fox, Exact, Evan King, Sindri Dragowolf, Kopi, Spiderling, Grizz, Dissonance, Ida Korval, Tiger Cub, Brian Hall, Bastian, Cobus Visser, and Kartek. Special thanks to all of them. So until we have a short story, that is it from me. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.